Welcome to Whiny Women. Thank you for joining, like, and subscribe. Today I have with me my friend Heather.
Hello.
And so can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I am a mother. I'm a wife. Those are some of the most important things to me. I work with victims of trafficking, and I'm a Christian. There's so much more, but that's about it. That covers it.
Yes. And so today we're drinking a wide variety of things. I'm drinking a Chianti today, which I discovered is just a fancy version of a red blend. And it's delicious. That's all I got to say about that. And Heather is drinking a Founder's coffee. Is it iced coffee?
Yes, lavender.
Ooh,
coffee.
lavender.
I like their lavender.
I've only tried one lavender coffee in my life, and it tasted like a flower, so I wasn't a fan.
I get it, but I do because flowery taste. I wasn't a huge fan the first time I had one either, but I continued to be drawn to them for some reason, and I actually really like lavender.
Nice. So that one's good?
Yes, it's really good.
And then chasing it with the water.
Yes, because we all need to hydrate.
It's so true, especially in the desert.
Right.
So one thing that I wanted to talk with you about today is a little bit about your past. So Heather, my friend, was a Mormon.
I was.
Yes, and I feel like that word to me, it immediately makes me think about Sister Wives, and I've seen that show a couple of times, and when I watched it, it just made me furious. Just I don't know. I just couldn't imagine sharing my husband. So
right, 100% agree.
So it was interesting, but I think that that's what most people think when they think about Mormons. So maybe you can clarify, the hows and the whats.
Okay, so yes, because I actually get that a lot. Most of the time, even growing up when I was still Mormon, people would say, "You're Mormon. How many wives does your dad have?" And I would think it was the funniest thing because...
You weren't offended?
No, I wasn't offended because there's two different types of Mormon.
Okay.
And I don't know that everybody knows that and why they both still call themselves Mormons, or they've kind of changed that. But you have LDS, which is a Latter-day Saint, and then you have Fundamentalist LDS, which is a Fundamentalist Latter-day Saint.
Okay.
So fundamentalists still practice to this day polygamy and have multiple wives. That's why you see the show. That's why they make it to be somewhat normal. Now, my growing up, I did not live that way. Our family growing up actually was LDS, so Latter-day Saint. Did not believe in polygamy. I'm sure somewhere in my family tree it happened because that was the original, and then it kind of broke off to this is not okay. Yeah. So then you have places that it is legal, but most places it's illegal to have more than one wife.
Mm-hmm. So you grew up in Utah.
I did.
And so is it polygamy legal throughout the whole state?
I don't believe it's throughout the whole state. I believe there's they're almost like compounds. Okay. In this area, it's legal still, but they live on their own compound. They kind of have their own grocery stores, their own. It's very interesting. And I don't know a whole lot.
What are some interesting things that since you lived in Utah, that you've seen regarding the fundamentals?
So I did not grow up around any fundamentalist families.
Okay.
Where I lived, we were just, you went to the grocery store and every family had more than 5 kids, except my parents. My parents are probably the only Mormons that had 2 kids, and that's it.
Okay.
But that's another thing. That was always the follow-up question. And how many brothers and sisters do you have?
Mm-hmm.
One sister. But everyone assumes that, you're Mormon, so you have massive amounts of family members.
Yes.
But the fundamentalist communities they're not welcoming to outsiders. So you don't really know, how they live. in my adult life, I was 19 or 20, I think. I got to know a family that was fundamentalist Mormons because we both were in the hospital at the same time. The families of somebody. And it was interesting because we would bring in movies and put them in the waiting room and like watch movies while we were there. And their kids would keep their heads down the whole time because they were not allowed to watch TV. Like there's just different rules. The fact that they were even in a hospital was like a big deal that wasn't like their own. But it was a trauma unit.
They own their own hospitals?
I don't know that they own their own hospitals, but they have
like their own doctors?
Yeah. It's very different.
Sounds very different.
Yes. And that's not how I grew up.
Okay, so gotcha. So you grew up the, I guess, normal type of Mormon?
Newer Mormons.
Yeah, newer age.
Yeah.
So somewhere along the way, you decided to step away from that, and that seems very drastic. I know some people who have, switched religions from Jews to Christianity, and like, it's usually a huge deal when that happens.
Yeah.
Completely switching religions. So what does that look like? And like the epiphany, like how did that happen?
So mine is going to look different from anyone else's, obviously. I was actually given a choice. I was still a teenager when I decided that I was not going to go to church any longer. My dad actually came to me and said to me, hey, if you don't want to go to church anymore, I'm not going to make you. It's your choice. I was, I think, almost 17 years old. And so, of course, as a teenager, I'm like, you mean I don't have to spend 3 hours of my life at church every Sunday?
Church
like,
is 3 hours every Sunday?
Every Sunday. Because you started with sacrament, then you had Sunday school, and then your other class, I honestly forget. But you go to like multiple classes. And normally I made it to sacrament and then kind of, as a teenager was like, bye, we're out. And then made it back in time to go home with our parents. But when my dad gave me the choice, I was like, I'm done. But I'm so thankful that my dad said to me, listen, you don't have to go to church to love God. You don't have to my parents were just really good about the direction that they took us in, even though my dad was giving us that option to not go any longer. Yeah. I think my dad was having his own struggles in the church, which he didn't share with us at that age. As adults, he kind of shared a little bit more. My dad has also walked away from the church, which is kind of a big deal because I know how much my dad loves the church and is thankful that he was raised Mormon. But my dad had an experience. My sister got pregnant when she was 17. Not only did she get pregnant, wasn't married, which is a huge no. Yeah. She also was in a relationship, a biracial relationship. And so it's like, one, you're not married, now you're pregnant, and your baby is going to be biracial. Like, this is...
Are all Mormons white?
No, they're not. But this is also over 20 years ago. And so my nephew is 26 now. So 26 years ago was about that time that those things were changing. And if you probably were to back up like 10 years prior to that, I can only imagine that I would have been young. But it, my dad was treated very differently from, I think it was like, how could you let your daughter get pregnant? How can you let your daughter not be married? And then you add race to it, I think makes it a whole new, and I think my dad didn't want to put that on us, that he felt that from the church. So instead he gave us the option of saying, hey, if you don't want to go, I'm not going to force you to go.
It's very noble.
So I'm very thankful for him for that. And I'm thankful that I was raised in the church, because when I had that choice, I walked away, and I walked away for a long time. I mean, obviously I walked away completely from being Mormon And I found my own journey to Christianity when I was 30. So it's very different. Yeah.
So for those that don't know, like I'm a Christian and I follow, so Jesus is Lord and, you know, follow the Trinity. So what would the differences in faiths be from Christianity to Mormonism?
You know, I know they believe in a difference, which I still to this day, I don't understand it. And I remember as a child asking questions and always like kind of getting a runaround answer, which made me not fully understand their differences. So the best way, and I'm thankful that I was raised in the church. I'm thankful that my parents always taught us about love and to love others. Yeah. And that's what Jesus wants from us. But I feel like in the Mormon religion, you have to be perfect. And if you're not perfect, you can't go to heaven.
Goodness.
Where in Christianity, it's a broken world of let us walk this journey with you. Let us heal you. And let's all join Jesus one day. You know, it's just so different.
Do they believe in Jesus?
I don't believe that they believe in Jesus. I believe they think that it's just God. Like, it's very scripted almost. Like it's Heavenly Father who is Christ. And I believe they still believe in the Holy Spirit, you know, so I just don't think that it's the same as in like God brought Jesus, which we all know it's one, right? But
yeah, the Trinity.
For their religion, I think that they just look at it differently than the Christian religion.
Yeah.
And for me, it's more of I'm so thankful that I don't have to walk around feeling judged for any decision, including drinking my coffee. Yeah. You know, like I'm so thankful for that. Yeah. And I truly believe like when God called me to become a Christian after years of kind of turning my back thinking, well, if I'm not paying attention to him, he's not paying attention to me, and I can live my life however I want, then I'm okay because he's not paying attention to me, you know? And then when he very loudly made sure to shake me and tell me like, I'm here, it was huge.
Yeah.
And
life-changing.
Yeah. It was the craziest thing. And I remember telling Michael, my husband, hey, I want to go to church. And he was like, okay. I remember where we were at. I remember everything about it. And I told him, I said, I had this really weird experience happen to me. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like I'm supposed to go to church. And his words to me were, okay, so what Mormon church do you want to go to? And I was like, whoa, I don't.
Because then this was here in Vegas.
Yes. And I was like, I don't want to go to a Mormon church. I was like, I don't really know, but I know that God's telling me like to go this way. Mm-hmm. So maybe we try this church out. So we tried a Christian church out, and
all history.
I mean, honestly, I thought my life was fine. and then I started going to church.
Yeah.
And I realized like, I get it. So yeah.
That's very, very cool. So if somebody's watching and they're kind of, you know, exploring the idea of faith, what would you say to them regarding just the different experiences you've had with religion?
It's definitely very personal, right? I wouldn't try to convince anybody to like leave a religion or only go to a certain religion because that's what I believe. I believe that it is your own personal journey, and it's something I would pray about and let God lead you where you want to be. I just know that in my heart, where I'm supposed to be, like I've let God take that lead in my life, and I haven't been disappointed yet. You know, my life has drastically changed, and I'm so thankful for that. But I feel it in every bit of me that's him saying, this is where you're supposed to be. And when he's told me to move, as scary as it is, I've trusted in him that he is calling me to be where I'm supposed to be. And so it is personal, but I would hope that everybody would put their faith and their hope and just trust what maybe their heart's trying to tell them. And I think that I don't think it's a bad thing to try to go to other religions and see where you feel God's calling you to be. But I truly believe that if you'll be willing to listen, you'll feel him and you'll know. And I never felt that in the Mormon church like I feel it now.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's a crazy but amazing story. It's a journey, all of this. So thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Click, subscribe, like. Thank you.